Back to the Kristin Omdahl Show. This is episode 1015, and if you're joining me live, please say hello. We are live at the beach. It's a little stormy here this morning, so it is going to be a little windy, so we will see how that goes. I'll wait a few minutes before beginning until people can pop over from pre-chat and notifications, and then we'll get started. Hi, Thea. Happy Tuesday. Hi, Joe. Hi, Leona. Hi, Kat, Judy, Lily, Judy, Leona, Diane, Judy, Lori. Thank you, Lori. Hello, 2 Loris in a row. Hi, Jan. Hi, Angela. Hi, Karen. Hi, Grace and Val and Jane. Good morning. Hi, Kathy. Good morning. Welcome back to the Kristin Omdahl Show. This is episode 1015, and we're here live in Southwest Florida at the beach today. It's a little stormy here. It is a little windy. We'll do what we can. Anyway, it's absolutely beautiful. I think the colors are gorgeous. I think the way the water is lighting up is both spooky and beautiful and contrasting against the gray clouds. So beautiful. I love it. Let's see. If you're joining me live, please say hello. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Christine. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully you're having a great day so far. Hi, Carrie. I am definitely going to be talking about what I'm wearing. I know a couple people have mentioned that they wanted to know. It's called the Marissa Knit Shawl, and Judy has posted a link to it already. I'm also wearing the Kelly earrings. These are both patterns in #1 fingering weight yarn. I made these in Be So Fine. If you have Be So Fine, you can make these in those yarns or any #1 fingering weight yarn. The patterns are both available on my website. And I believe there are video tutorials for them as well. I believe these were in a book. These were in probably 80 Handmade Gifts as well. So if you already have that book, you have this. And if you have the book Motif Magic, you already have this pattern as well. So how's that? Isn't that fun to find out that you've forgotten about, you can't remember everything in every book, right? So I think it's so fun when I get to remind people of things that they may not have seen in a while, or, you know, you may not have been in the right frame of mind to want something the way you did when you first were exposed to it that you are at any given different time. So I always think that's really cool too. Hi, Melanie. Hi, G. Yes, the water is gorgeous today. Hi, Carly, Marcia, and 2 Marcias in a row. This is fun. Yes, new month. Happy March. Do I have 2 dragonfly shawls? Great question, Lori. There is a dragonfly shawl in my book, Crochet So Fine, which I do not own the copyright rights to yet. It is still in publication. As long as it's still in publication, it is owned by the publisher, Interweave Crafts, or Interweave Press. So if you want that pattern, you would have to go to, you'd have to order the book, Crochet So Fine. I believe on their website they offer it as a PDF also if you wanted the PDF or the ebook or the print book. I do believe Crochet So Fine is still available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all those places as well. The other shawl that I recently designed this past year is called Dragonflies in Flight. And it is a completely different look, completely different dragonfly motif, in fact. And that's a top-down increasing shawl that I did in #5 bulky weight yarn. But like I've said many times before, anything that's top-down construction you could actually do in any weight yarn as well. You would just continue in the established pattern for however many repeats you needed based on what size, what gauge, and all that good stuff. But it is written for #5 bulky weight yarn, which means it works up quickly. All right, if there are no more questions yet, then I did want to get started on talking about the construction of this shawl. I think it's going to be very interesting to many of you, especially if you've never seen it before or haven't seen it in a long time. Either way, I think the construction and what I'm going to talk about it is going to be really interesting. Before I do that though, I am going to make this reminder a couple times throughout the show today because it's something that I promised a month ago, and it's something that's important to me. It's important to me to keep my word and keep my promises anytime that I can. And so a month ago when I announced, was it a month ago today? Was it February 1st that I announced that yarn was getting discontinued? It might have been. Anyway, if it's been a month, it's been a whirlwind, that's for sure. I did promise that I was going to continue designing in my yarns for a while. Like, I stashed a bunch of it before I put everything for sale, because it was important to me that not only do you have, I mean, not that you don't have a ton of patterns to choose from right now with all of my yarns. I've been designing exclusively in my yarns for 8 years. There's tons of patterns available, but I did also promise that I would be designing a few more things specifically in my yarns to thank everybody who has been, you know, buying stashes of my yarn because it's going away. Not even to thank, but just out of respect. So I wanted to make sure that you didn't think that I was going to go away with regard to that. Like, we're still going to talk about it. And then once it's all gone, and maybe when you're looking for new yarns, we're going to talk about what yarns I think might be good replacements. I'm going to have to search and shop and review and do all that stuff, but I will do that as well, because I don't want you to think that I'm leaving you high and dry just because I'm not selling the same yarns anymore. It's always been important to me to make sure that you realize I'm not going anywhere. Nothing is changing except that. So having said that, I do want to know what kind of patterns with which yarns you would like to see me design in the next coming few months. So did you stock up on a ton of Be So Luxe? Did you stock up on a ton of Be So Baby? Did you stock up on a ton of Be So Fine? Be So Sporty? Be So Easy? What? Be So Airy? Whichever ones you stocked up on, what do you want me to make in that? Are you looking for ponchos, beach cover-ups, garments, shawls, earrings? What kind of stuff would you like? So if you would like to have discussions about it live, we can try to do that, but you know the drill. You know what I'm going to ask you is that when the recording is gone, I'm trying to read and talk, sometimes it's too much. Anyway, when this live is in recording, it is in recording mode, or can I just spit my words out? When we are no longer live and a recorded video, would you leave a comment on today's video and let me know which weights of yarn and which types of garments you would like to see, because I'm willing to do I'm willing to work together on this. I want to make sure that I don't want you to feel like you just have a stash of yarn now that you don't know what to do with. Having said that, there are tons of patterns available already, but I'm going to design anyway. What would you like me to do? There's no point in designing things you don't want, right? So give me your feedback, give me your thoughts and suggestions, and I will take them into consideration. Having said that, I would like to show you the construction of this shawl because it is really very interesting. Okay, and even though this is knit, I think that what I'm going to tell you about this could absolutely be thought of as construction for crochet as well. And every time I do this, when I talk about it, I always lay it on myself like this so we can look it over. And when I do, I always say, 2 of these sewn together would make an amazing topper. Just saying, right? Whether you left it made front to back like that, I think that would be such a cool poncho or capelet. But you could also consider doing it as an open poncho or an open capelet so that we could do right and left, sew it down the back, and then it could still be open in the front if you wanted. That would be cool too. Anyway, so here's the construction style of this, and the reason why it's so important to me to talk about the construction style with you is that what you do with this could be applied to so many other types of projects, so many different types of yarn, types of thicknesses of yarn. So this one, it was done in Be So Fine, the tidbit size, in 3 colors, but you could do this all in 1 color as well. It starts with these really cool motifs at the bottom. So I made these little scallops, open-centered scallops for the bottom. This is called the Marissa knit shawl pattern. Okay, Judy has posted a link to it. there's a video tutorial, the pattern's on my website. It starts with these little motifs and you make them separately. Then when you have all of those done, you line them up and you pick up and knit into all of them to start the bottom row of the shawl. And when you're doing bottom-up construction, that means your first row is your biggest row, right? So that first row goes all the way along that entire lower edge. And then as you're knitting and working your way up, you're decreasing as you go. So it's the exact opposite of a top-down construction. If you're familiar with top-down and not familiar with bottom-up, in top-down, you start small and with increases you grow into a larger stitch count. When you're going from bottom-up, you start with your largest row and then you work sections of decreases as you work your way up to the smallest section. So the optical illusion here, or maybe not optical, but the illusion when you're doing bottom up is that that first row takes forever, but as you're going, it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. Whereas when you're doing top down construction, in the beginning you're like, oh man, this is going so fast. And then it gets slower and slower as your rows get bigger. So, you know, there's pluses and minuses to both constructions, but if you've never done bottom up before and you're used to top down, you are going, once you get to about here, you're going to be so excited at how fast the project goes from there. I hope that makes sense. And those of you that do know what I'm talking about will definitely agree with me that that is one of the beauties of bottom up construction. So, again, I like to talk about these things as far as how to break down and strip down a pattern and figure out what else you can do with it, right? So from this, I also think that you could use these motifs as an amazing edging on an afghan. You could use this technique on something that doesn't have increases. What if you're just making a rectangular shawl? You could do those scallops for each side, then work your stitch pattern to the center and do 3 needle bind off here at the center and have a completely mirrored rectangular shawl. You could do that for an afghan as well. You could make a big afghan. It looks like there's a storm coming, Karen. I don't know. I didn't check the weather this morning, but it sure looks like it. All right, does anybody have any questions about what I've talked about so far? Because I want to make sure that this makes sense before I keep going, because there's a lot to it. I actually have a backstory about this pattern also. This pattern in its original form was rejected from one of my knitting books. I think it was rejected from Knitting Outside the Swatch. The editors and the publisher, I wasn't publishing my own books at that point. I had a publisher. Yes, this is very easy to do. This is a very simple lace pattern of just yarn over knit 2 together, and these little cuties here are super easy to make as well. And you learn how to do 3 needle bind or picot bind off on these, which is a great technique that's both decorative and gives you a nice stretchy edge for all sorts of things. You could do this similar shape, similar style in crochet, absolutely. What you would do is start with, let's talk about that. So to do this U-shaped motif, you would start with a number of chains here, and you would do increases to make that U-shaped shape. And you could even do a picot edge on your last row, and then you would fasten that off, and once you had a set of them, you could pick up and crochet into the sides of them. So you would crochet into this, then do some chains, then crochet into this, right? And then if there's space in between them, you would chain a little bit and then crochet here, then chain, then crochet again. So it's the same concept as far as knitting, you would pick up and knit across these, then knit cast on in the middle, then pick up and knit across here, then knit cast on. And if you were crocheting a similar aesthetic and a similar shape, it would be crochet across this section, then chain, crochet across this section and chain. It would be a beautiful edge on a baby blanket. It would be a beautiful edge on a skirt. It would be beautiful on curtains. Ooh, yeah, wouldn't that be cute on curtains too? Like, it doesn't have to be on a curved edge here. I did curved motifs on a curved edge shawl, but those curved edge motifs could be on a straight edge too. You could add them to any type of a fabric. In fact, you could even add them to fabric. You could sew these to the edge of, you could certainly do this top down. You could do the shawl top down construction, and then join the motifs with 3-needle bind off, or just join them with sewing. You're going to have ends from this. Don't weave in your tails. Weave your tails long enough that you can sew them to the edge of the shawl. And that would apply if you wanted to use these motifs for joining to fabric. You could make your tails long enough and literally just sew it to machine-made fabric. You could add this to, and also you could do this in any weight yarn. Do it in number 5 bulky weight. Do it in number 3 DK weight or number 1 fingering weight like this. There is a video tutorial on the pattern page and on my YouTube channel. The shawl is called the Marissa shawl, and it is a knit pattern, but like I was saying, conceptually you could do a lot of things with this in crochet. And how cute do these colors look with my dress? This is one of the maxi dresses that I got on Amazon. You can find it in I posted a link to it in my Amazon shop. But I think that this little topper looks adorable. I was going to wear my jean jacket. I was like, you know, I think these colors go well together. I do like it offset, but it also looks super cute, even centered across my shoulders. This is easier to show you not in the wind, I suppose, but there are some great photos. Thanks, Tammy. Isn't it really cute, centered? I know a lot of times I show things styled offset, but this particular one, I don't know, there's something about the symmetry, and maybe it's the stripes. I just think between these scalloped edges and these diagonal stripes here, and then all of those extra pieces when it's tied here, I just think this is so feminine and romantic and cute. And I can't get over how well the colors go with this dress. I'll stand up so you can see the whole thing. It's windy, I better hold my dress. Whoa. I almost fell. Did you see that? The sand got soft at the edge where it goes down, and I went down a little faster than I thought. Yes, you could definitely do this in Be So Luxe yarn. Like I was saying, it is bottom up and top down construction. You really have a lot of leeway in what type of yarn you use. This is in number 1 fingering weight. So if you did it in Be So Luxe number 2 sport weight, you might want to adjust your needle size to be appropriate or not, and it might end up being just a little bit bigger, or you could make it a different size. Like however many motifs I added to this, this is a type of a project that you could very easily modify to make larger or smaller, because it's based on how many of these motifs you make, being bottom-up construction. So the rest of the pattern is written based on what you do across each one. So you could absolutely make this much bigger by just making more of those motifs to begin with, and then just repeating the process of picking up and knitting them more times for however many more motifs you add. And then at that point, the rest of the pattern is written as a multiple. So you would just continue in a different multiple. Bye, Catherine. And I'm wearing my earrings in a complementary color of Be So Fine yarn as well. Yes, the shawl is more half circle or crescent shaped. That is correct. All right, does anybody have any other questions about that? Beth wants to know, when I change color, do I prefer to knot or weave in ends? That's a great question. Sometimes I think it just dependent on what type of yarn I'm using, what weight yarn I'm using, where the knot or the color change needs to happen. I think there's a lot of factors, and it's something that I could definitely write up and show you some examples of. It would take some time to make examples and everything, but it definitely depends on the yarn and the type of area. So let me give you an example. Like in a number 1 fingering weight yarn like this, with open work, it's, yeah, sure, you can get a closer look at my earrings. We'll talk about those further too. This is a very cool pattern. It's just a motif that you literally slide onto a hoop earring, kind of like when you're putting something on a frame. So you're stretching you're stretching out your canvas on a frame, and it's a crochet motif and a hoop earring. It's a simple motif, and then I literally just slide them right on. So I could take this whole thing off if I wanted to. I'm not going to because they're a pain to get back on, but look, it is not attached to the hoop. It is not glued on. My biggest problem is that I wear face makeup, so I do get makeup on them, and I have to clean them occasionally. But other than that, they are just easy to wear. I don't think you could have these in enough colors. I think you could have these for every outfit. Seriously, I think they're so cute, and they are super duper light. Even though they're big and bold, they're still light. So those of you that have stretch out earring holes like me, and you still like big earrings, crochet and knitted yarn earrings are definitely the way to go to get that size and bold factor while still keeping them super light. Okay, so back to the weaving in ends, because our weaving in tails are changing color, because it is such an important question. So in thinner yarns, it's sometimes a little more difficult than in thicker yarns, but then sometimes in thicker yarns it's difficult too. So it really depends. It depends on the stitch pattern, the yarn, the fiber content of the yarn. So animal fibers are actually a ton easier to change color or change ball than plant-based fibers, because you can felt them together. So when I say that, I'm saying non-superwashed. So if you've just got regular animal fibers, you can literally felt your two ends together like this and create, it's kind of a little bit thicker, but still it's really cool. There's another technique called a magic knot, where you can knot both tails to each other and then slide them along and trim them really close, and that'll give you a super tiny knot that does not come out. Then you can do that. Also, in knitting, a lot of times when I change color, I don't knot. I just wrap the yarn over for the first stitch and then just keep going. But in crochet, I often, it depends. It depends on where you're at in the project. If you have to change something in the middle of a row, I definitely do a knot there, whereas if I'm doing something on the end of the row, I feel like you have more options, because there's more stability in the fabric along the edge, especially if you're going to end up doing an edging across there. So yeah, there's big differences between plant and animal fibers in lots of ways. How you wash them, how you can join them, what else? How you dye them. There are a lot of differences between animal and plant fiber, and it's just not something that I've needed to talk about in the last few years, because I've really only been offering plant-based fibers. So it was my goal to educate everybody on plant-based fibers, but going forward we can definitely talk about more things like that. How you treat things that are like how you treat acrylic is different than how you treat animal and plant fibers too. And superwash is a chemical process to wool yarn that totally changes wool yarn as well, and it makes it harder to dye in some ways, not in every way, but definitely makes it not feltable, which gives you other washing and caring for options. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about all of that, and we can ask me your questions. I'm happy to answer live like we do here, and if it comes to a point where we think there's more information to like write it all down and or make it a class or a blog post or even a book, we can get there too. Japanese ink, do you mean like shibori? Or do you mean indigo? What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean by Japanese ink. For dyeing fiber, I don't know what you mean. Ah, Lori spins her own yarn. That's cool. Thank you, Marcia. I love this shawl. I love the size, even though most of the time, yes, there's all sorts of joining techniques. Definitely, there's tons and tons. Just like there's tons of cast-ons and bind-off. The subjects are just, they're huge, all of them, which is amazing that there's so many different options to do such. Knitting and crochet can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be, and you can take a little bit of knowledge and have fun, or you can really go down the rabbit hole and learn volumes and volumes and volumes of information on any aspect of it. It's just amazing. It's amazing. There's so much to it, and you wouldn't, that's every subject, right? You can take a little bit from any subject, or you can deep dive into any subject, and you can deep dive into any aspect of any subject. It's wonderful. For those of us that have an insatiable desire to learn, it's amazing. And how amazing is the internet that we have that much more access to knowledge. I mean, I used to love my encyclopedias when I was a kid. Does anybody remember having encyclopedias? I would literally sit on the floor in front of the bookshelf and just randomly pull them out and read them. Encyclopedias were one of my favorite things as a kid, and I'm not surprised because I love to learn. But yeah, the internet is, I mean, you can't even say it's encyclopedias on steroids. It's way better than that. I look back and I think, what the heck did I even look up in there? How much could there have possibly been on anything? Like, I kind of want to go back and browse through an old set if I could see them somewhere, because I'm like, what did I look up besides countries and, well, science? I guess animals. I guess I looked up stuff. Oh, you guys are going to be proud of me. Look how organized I am today. I still have my Florida book, and I still have a Create, Share, Inspire notebook with me. I'm feeling a little organized today. I slept last night too. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Getting a full night's sleep and waking up at an appropriate time? Wow. Did that do something for my organizational skills? Amazing. Who would have thought? All right, does anybody have any questions for me? We haven't seen anything to look up in the book, have we? Is there anything to look up? Sure there is. Let's find something. We gotta look up something in the book. Let's just look up a seashell even, right? I mean, here we go. You could look this up. How hard? I don't know how hard it is to look up seashells. I guess we'll find out here in a minute. Have we seen, oh, here's the index. It's called the species checklist. Look at this. This is when Marlon and I were actually checking things off. Do you want me to read what we've checked off here? Oh, there's a lot. How about we do this instead today? I'm going to read off everything that we've checked off, okay? Okay, so we saw Atlantic bottlenose dolphin, bobcat, Brazilian free-tailed bat, common dolphin, common raccoon, cotton mouse, eastern cottontail, eastern gray squirrel, this is the mammals section, Florida panther, fox squirrel, manatee, marsh rabbit, nine-banded armadillo, northern river otter, white-tailed deer. And then in the birds section, these are the things that we had seen. American crow, American robin, American white pelican, bald eagle, black vulture, blue jay, brown pelican, great blue heron, great egret, mallard, osprey, ring-necked duck, sandhill crane, snowy egret, swallowtail kite, and turkey vulture. Then in the reptiles and amphibians, these are the ones that we had seen when he was little. I've seen more now. American alligator, American crocodile, bullfrog, eastern garter snake, gopher tortoise, green sea turtle, green tree frog, southern black racer, southern toad, and spectacled caiman. Then the fish, these are the ones that we had seen at that point. We've seen more since then. Bluegill, channel catfish, cobia, Florida pompano, large Gulf pipefish, largemouth bass, pinfish, red grouper, snook, and tarpon. Then in the seashore life, this is what we had seen at this point. Blue crab, common sea star, fiddler crab, gooseneck barnacle, horseshoe crab, keyhole urchin, moon jellyfish, sail jellyfish, staghorn coral. And then in the trees and shrubs, this is what we had seen so far, which I've seen way more now. cabbage palm, coconut palm, Florida royal palm, and saw palmetto. In the wildflowers, we'd seen aloe yucca, and Florida butterfly orchid, Spanish moss, and yellow pond lily. I know more about that now. And shrub verbena. Oh, that's it on the species checklists. Okay. Anyway, that was fun. I got to show this to Marlon when I see him. I showed him the book when I pulled it out to bring it on the show the other day. I showed him, and he got a little, he didn't get teary-eyed, but I could tell he got a little emotional just seeing it again. He has some really, really amazing memories of this book too. Oh, cannot recommend it enough as a gift. And like I said, if you have someone that's a nature lover moving to any state, I'm sure that book exists for other states as well, or someone's traveling to Florida. I cannot recommend it enough. It has given us years and years of entertainment and value. All right, who wants to see a quote before we finish up the show today? I'm going to randomly pick a quote from Volume 1, Issue 3. This is from Theodore Roosevelt. With self-discipline, most anything is possible. Yes, 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 yes. You can, it's amazing what you can accomplish with some self-discipline, absolutely, and a little note-taking. I don't know what I would do without, or list writing, I guess is what I mean. Writing things down and staying organized is absolutely crucial to me. Hi, Pratiksha, I think I said your name right. Cool, fun. All right, did I miss anybody's last questions or anything? I brought an umbrella for my phone today, but it ended up being shaded where I parked, so I didn't need it. It is a wonderful quote and a great reminder that all things are possible. All things are more possible with self-discipline and organization. Yes, I did test drive another RV last weekend. I did. So now I have test driven a Class A and a Class C, and I believe a Class C is a lot more economical, so that's where my focus is now, is on Class C RVs. Yeah, looking for a budget-friendly, entry-level RV. So from what I've been discovering, Class C is the way to go for entry-level, budget-friendly. For someone who's not mechanically inclined and looking for a fixer-upper, other than cosmetic. Anyway, so that's where I'm at on the search there. Hopefully I have more information to share with you soon. Does anybody have any other questions? ETA for my new book. We are in the editing stage. I have laid out the entire book. We're looking at about 112 pages right now, and we are at the beginning of the editing stage. I will be looking for a few extra people for proofreading as well, but I will put out a call to action for that soon. I don't have a date for that right now, but I will. Yeah, so we're definitely coming down the pipeline. I don't have an ETA for the actual release date, but a month, 6 weeks, that would be my guess. Don't hold me to it, please. Do I have a time for the dress pattern? No, I'm working on 2 patterns right now. One for a Biso Baby pullover that is in the editing stage, and the pattern for the dress is in the writing and chart making stage. So I'm a little further behind on that one. The top pattern was finished before the dress, so I'm just a little further along on that one, but both of those will be available in the next couple, the top will be available within a week, and the dress should be available within the next couple of weeks. Thank you. Thank you. All right, any other questions? Great questions today, everybody. I appreciate it so much. I think the show is way more interesting when I have the ability to answer your questions, and I just love to be available like this. I'd love to be able to share my knowledge with all of you, but it's so much more exciting when I can actually answer real questions live. So thank you so much for your participation. And please don't forget, if you are so inclined, after we are no longer live and this show is recorded, could you please come back and let me know which yarns and which types of patterns you would like to see me design with your newfound stashes of Be So Baby, Be So Fine, Be So Sporty, Be So Luxe, Be So Easy yarn, anything that you've picked up during in the last month that as I've been selling off all physical products. I did keep back some stash on all of them, or some of them, most of them, to make some additional patterns for you. And then from there, I think it might be fun to do some stash busting things too. If you ended up doing like little mishmash sets of different colors or different yarns, I think it's going to be really fun to do that as well. So let me know what you want. Do you want garments? Do you want lace? Do you want motifs? Do you want small projects? Do you want big projects? Let me know, because I like making things that you guys like buying and making. Yep, the blue skies here, it looks like the storms went out to sea, which is nice, so we'll have a nice day after all. Just in time for me to leave and go home. Wah wah. Anyway, that's okay. I still enjoyed being down here with all those great colors this morning too. All right, thank you so much everybody for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the beach. I hope you enjoyed the colors, the sounds, my show and tells, chatting with me and everyone else. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Kristin Omdahl Show. Bye-bye.